Do you need help? All right. What's going on, everyone? This is John with another episode of Cocktails in Cloud. Today, we're featuring an exciting 4th of July cocktail for you. But first, we have a special guest, Mike McCabe, CEO. What's your title? What do you do?
It doesn't matter. Chief Janitor.
Chief Janitor of Cloud Security Partners. So for today, we're going to be drinking on a very lovely frozen hurricane. Hurricane's a perfect drink for today because it's a tiki drink, but what folks don't really know is that its origins actually are from an Irish-themed bar. Irish for your people. So yeah, thought this would be an exciting drink. It's perfect to enjoy around a pool with pool-friendly glasses, of course. Can't bring glassware near the pool. So we're gonna go ahead and start mixing up one of those. Extremely simple cocktail. One of the first things you'll notice is if you look up recipes for the hurricane, you're gonna see recipes with 6, 7, 8 different ingredients. The recipe I recommend is actually from the Smuggler's Cove book. It's 3 ingredients, super simple, cheap, easy to do. So to get things started, we're gonna start off with some passion fruit puree. Now, if I was planning better, I would have opened this ahead of time and been totally prepared for this production. Very professional. So we're gonna start with 2 ounces. And like I said, we're doing this blended. So we're going right into the blender. And this is gonna be a nice sweet and a little sour cocktail that we are going to be sipping on at an appropriate time of day.
It is past 12, so.
Past 12. First things first, always add the syrup first. That way you can wash it out with your next ingredient, which is 2 ounces of freshly squeezed lemon juice. 1, 2. We want to get all that extra syrup flavor that's hanging around in our jigger. Tiki drink. This is our lovely dark rum-based cocktail. So we're going to go ahead and add 4 ounces of dark rum directly to our blender. It's okay if we go a little overboard. It's been a long week. 4.5, 5, 6 ounces. Who cares?
Those are some Irish pours.
Some Irish pours. That's right. Okay, now the real exciting part. Mike, could you get the ice, please?
Sure. 2.5 cups.
2.5 cups of ice. I'm going to clean up our workspace real quickly. Oh, 1 more scoop. Why not? We want it to be frozen and not just watery. Okay, now the most important step, adding the cover to the blender. Don't want to forget that. And trust me, after you've had 3 or 4 of these, you very easily could forget to put the cover on the blender. We're gonna step over here to the back, get that set up. We're gonna go ahead and plug that in. Mike, would you like to do the honors?
Sure.
Hit the frozen cocktail button. Here we have it. Let's grab this. All right, Mike, want to grab our glasses and meet me over here? All right. I don't want to give Mike more than myself. The dog knows he loves a good stiff cocktail too. All right. We'll save a little bit for our production crew to sample later. Most important part of any cocktail, the garnish. Little fresh lemon right on the rim. There we have it. And then the umbrella, blue for myself, pink for Mike, okay? Here you are. Cheers.
Cheers. Tastes like freedom.
Tastes like freedom. All right, Mike. So I know you've got a background with infrastructure as code. You've done a lot of research and talks in the space. I'd like to take this opportunity to ask you a few questions about that.
Sounds great.
So I've prepared a few questions. Hopefully none of them catch you off guard. So
What do I feel like I'm going to be cut off?
You ready for it? You might want to have a drink first. You're going to need it. All right. So first things first. Can you describe the major advantages and disadvantages of infrastructure as code?
Wow. I'm not caught off guard. I mean, I can share my opinion. I think one of the big advantages that we see when people actually go through the process of turning all their infrastructure into code is they have a centralized place to deploy it. They have, everything's codified. So you have things in repos. You can do in-depth reviews. So you get away from the old school click ops of people going into the console and, creating their EC2s or whatever by hand. I'd say that's the big advantage. Security is another big advantage. You can do, security code reviews, pull request reviews, implement static analysis tools against your Terraform, things like that. I think the only disadvantage really is that it does take a decent amount of time and knowledge to build these things. It's not something you can do in, a day or two, but it's well worth the effort compared to doing it all manually.
Great. Thank you for that. All right, next question. Imagine you're trapped on a tropical island and could only have one cocktail or spirit for the rest of your life. Which would you choose?
Also very easy. This was not part of our pre-planning meeting though. I think that's pretty easy. Margarita with salt on the rim. Yep, I could do that. Plus, it would be good for the island.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate going with a tropical themed drink. I do question the choice of having salt while you're on an island. It seems like water would be a bit scarce. So do you really want the extra salt to dehydrate yourself?
You gotta have electrolytes,
Electrolytes, okay. All right, so next question. What recommendations would you give a customer who is just getting started with infrastructure as code?
I'd probably say use Terraform. That's definitely my opinion, but it's a strongly held one. I would say treat it like it is a production engineering project from the beginning. So that means, following best practices when it comes to Git, to branching, to deployments. Don't treat it as like kind of a secondary dev project that you're not following the same standards you would for app code. Like follow all the same engineering practices you have. And if you don't have those, take the time to build those out so that you have it as part of your infrastructure as code pipeline. That's going to save you a lot of pain down the road, especially if you're doing production deployments with something like Terraform. You don't want unapproved code going out the door, deleting things, changing things. So treat it like a real engineering project, like it's another app in your whole app stack. And you'll be in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, awesome. Couldn't agree more. All right, next question. What is your favorite cocktail to order at a wedding?
Oh, that's a tricky one. Can you get every cocktail at a wedding? It's usually whatever cheap beer they buy and their specialty.
Right. So
that's a good one. I'll think about that. I think whiskey and Coke, that's very basic of me, but going with that.
That's a good answer. And in fact, I think a lot of people really like the and cocktails. When you're in an uncertain place, you don't know what the bartender has available, go with an and cocktail. Gin and tonic, rum and Coke, vodka and cranberry, Red Bull and vodka. Yeah, anything like that is a safe bet. 2 ingredients. Novice bartender can't really screw that up. So, all right. Can you share some insight into the difference between Terraform and something like CloudFormation, CDK, or Pulumi?
Yeah. The first thing is Terraform is a multi-cloud. It's not even just a cloud-based tool. You can use Terraform for everything from deploying Kubernetes on-prem. You can, deploy and configure a lot of things through Terraform. You can even order Domino's pizza. Someone made a Domino's provider, so you can order pizza with Terraform.
Does it take Bitcoin?
That's a good question. You can add that as a pull request. So Terraform is not just a cloud tool. It did start that way, but it's also not tied to one cloud provider. Something like CloudFormation or Azure Arm, that's specific to a certain cloud provider. Terraform is really meant to be able to build kind of more complex environments. I find things like CloudFormation are good at building specific deployments of like a specific service. I'm not the biggest fan, but there's some benefits to it. CDK is an interesting one because it's kind of an opinionated way of doing infrastructure in actual code, not just, HCL, which HashiCorp made, or YAML, but in actual Python or JavaScript or whatever you want to write it in. So it's an interesting mix. It's a different philosophy. The one thing I like about Terraform, though, is it manages your state really well, which is important with infrastructure. You want to know what the state of all your infrastructure is. You want it to be centrally managed. You don't want things drifting, in different directions. So that's one thing I like about Terraform. Pulumi is similar. It's not as mature, I don't think, as Terraform, but it's kind of similar. Multi-cloud deployment, not tied to one vendor or one cloud platform.
All right. Thank you. Okay. What?
Deep sigh.
Deep sigh. I know. I'm just kind of planning on Mike's answer to this one already. So, which common cocktail do you see people drinking that you find to be fairly overrated?
Well, I married into a waspy family, so I'll start with that. And they're a big fan of gin and tonics, and I'm not there. Not a gin fan. I know that's betraying my Irish history, but I'm just not a big gin person. Yeah. So sorry, Anna's family and the rest of the wasps, but it's overrated.
Okay. So Mike doesn't like gin. Now, since we're talking tiki drinks here, there's many common tiki drinks that feature gin. The Saturn, as an example. So next episode we'll have Mike on. We'll turn him into a gin lover. Gin lover. We're gonna feed him a few Saturns, and I'm sure he'll come around. All right. So back to the technical side of things. Can you describe some complexities that someone may encounter when they're first investing into infrastructure as code?
Sure. I think it sort of goes back to my first answer. I think a lot of people start building this stuff out in a kind of simple way where they're, it's the classic, like, I'm going to write my PHP in one .php file or Python file, whatever. People build it out without really pre-planning how they're going to structure things. And that works for a while until it gets really complex, or you have interdependencies between different app stacks or different shared services, things like that. So people don't put a little bit of architecture work up front really saves you down the line. Think about what you want your stack to look like in a year from now and kind of work towards that versus just throwing a bunch of stuff into a few files. Think about how you can break things up into modules and then reference those modules versus having all your code in one repo and all that kind of thing.
Awesome. Okay, last question.
Yeah.
All right, and this is a big one. Using as many adjectives as possible. Now, you know what an adjective is, right? Okay, so using as many adjectives as possible. Can you describe the best cocktail you've ever had?
That's a tricky one. I was in a very warm and tropical place, Barbados. Very beautiful, exuberant people and colors. The water was particularly welcoming and warm. And beachside pina coladas were just the superlative thing to consume during those wonderful warm days.
Okay. And could you describe the mouthfeel of those?
Moist.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's all we've got for today. If you like this, feel free to smash that subscribe button, like this, share it with your friends, and wait and come back in a few weeks when I find the opportunity to turn Mike into a lover of gin.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Mike, I'll give you a chance to say goodbye.
I'm never coming back.
That's fair. Okay. Well, thank you anyways. What's going on, folks? This is John with another episode. Starting off strong already. Yeah.
This is why I have to do vocal warm-ups.
C5 4 5 la 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 la. All right, are we still rolling? Okay. Oh shit. Plug that in. Plug that in. We're gonna go ahead and plug that in. Now, the reason this drink is called the Hurricane is because when you look at the blender, it looks like a hurricane. That's actually not true at all. You want to bring us in?
No, it's some random guy just shows up.
All right.